friends in the media, and so can you just welcome to Ian and John. Ian, would you like to start?
Yeah, I can do. Jonny, if I can start with you. Obviously, you made your debut against Spain a long time ago now, if I can say that. But a special fixture for you, this one.
Yeah, it's obviously got a lot of good memories from that night, and it was my debut, and I don't remember an awful lot about the game, probably just little moments, but to be able to beat Spain, and I think after that game, Spain went on an incredible run where they didn't lose for quite a while and went on to win a few trophies as well.
Yeah. This week, obviously with Corey back in the squad, how much have you enjoyed having him around? It's obviously been a long time since you've got to play with him for Northern Ireland.
It's great, I've missed him in the spell that he was out, and I missed a couple of trips myself, but it's always great whenever we're together, and I think it's a real chance for us to sort of it's comfortable for us. We used to share rooms. Since COVID, we haven't been sharing rooms anymore, but we're always next door to each other, and it's just good to have your brother around, and I suppose to share the pitch with him is something special.
If I can ask, you're at a point now where you're obviously contract up at the moment. How much longer do you want to carry on playing for club and country?
I don't know if it's a question of want, because I think the answer to that would be you'd want to play forever. I think everyone that plays football, when you're in the moment, there's nothing better, and I think it's more, how things transpire. There's so many things that have to go into it. Fitness and your age becomes a part of it. So, like I said, if I could answer that, if I'd want to, I'd play on for the rest of my life.
You come here having come off the FA Cup success. That sort of completed the set for you with United. How special was that moment?
That was a great day. I think the team, myself, we were very bubbly getting into the game. We felt like we had a great chance of winning it. And even from the start of the FA Cup run, we'd sort of, we know that Man United, we've got a great history of winning trophies, and fancy yourselves against any team at Wembley in a final.
Thank you. Michael, if I can turn to you. What sort of challenge does Spain represent in this game?
Well, I think we've done a lot of work on Spain in leading up into this game, and it's an interesting Spanish squad for me that Luis de la Fuente has. It's maybe not some of the household names that they've had in the past, but I think they've got some very good players, some top young players as well in the squad. They won the Nations League, so they're obviously got that habit of winning as well. So I think that they're maybe a little bit under the radar a little bit, but I think they'll go to Germany with loads of confidence, and we expect, what you would normally get from a Tier 1 team, a team that obviously will, believe that they will have the capability to go deep into the tournament, if not win it.
You've spoken about wanting to work on games where you're not going to have a lot of the ball, which this one you'd expect this to be. How do you go about preparing for that?
Well, look, it's more difficult to prepare the team in that way, because it's not as enjoyable for the players to do that, and it's slightly more difficult because you can only prepare with your own players. We're going to go in Spain are a dominant team in possession regardless of who they play against, I think. So we would expect that obviously to be the pattern again tomorrow night. It's about where you obviously engage the opposition, force the opposition possibly in areas where they turn the ball over, but more importantly what we are able to do with those situations. I think in recent games, Denmark back in November, Scotland, and obviously in Romania away, the types of goals we scored came from, quick counter-attacks off the opposition, turning the ball over. And one of the things we have in our team is we have pace and we have legs and we have youth and enthusiasm, which are great qualities to have. And but again, we'll have to be very disciplined out of possession. We'll have to try and make Spain play in areas which will suit us. Although I think they have more than one string to their bow. They're not just a team that passes the ball relentlessly. They've scored quite a lot of goals off crosses as well. So, we've been through all that with the players. We'll do a little bit here on the pitch again tonight. And it'll be a great test for us and a great game to be involved in.
You've come here having had sort of several days training camp over on the mainland. Something you don't often get to do with the team. How much have you got out of the last few days?
Yeah, generally you come into international football and most you get is probably 3-4 days preparation. We've had 8 obviously leading into this, which has been nice. We had to obviously cater for the players, some of our players who are playing at Championship and League One level. Their season's finished early in May, so there's a fitness element to that. But most of the work, the players came in good condition. The later players who joined us slightly later who came in good condition. And I think the work we've done on the training pitch will not only be valuable for this game, but we're trying to build like a little bit of a template for a way we can play consistently against teams who are obviously viewed as stronger in terms of the opposition. When the World Cup comes round in March for qualification, we'll have to play teams of this calibre. So it's about continually working on that side of our game, and I think that the players have, they've taken it all in. It's quite different from maybe what they do at their club as well. So yeah, we've been pleased with the attitude of the players, and as I said, when you've got a young, hungry players, it's nice as a coach to work with that.
I mentioned Corey. He's obviously coming back off a long injury. He's not had very much football. I'd imagine this is a fixture where you want as much experience as you can get on the pitch. What kind of role can Corey play tomorrow?
Look, Corey always has a settling influence in the team. Back when we had a more experienced team, Corey was always one that I would play in the bigger games. I think his game intelligence is evident when he plays in those bigger games. He have a common influence of the younger players around him as well. And what he has shown since he came back in is he doesn't look like a player that's come back off a long-term injury. He still looks sharp. He still has that energy in the middle of the pitch. So, look, we just have to manage him in these 2 games, in terms of the minutes that we feel he's available to play. But certainly having him back in the squad has been a real bonus. We really missed him. A lot of people obviously spoke about us losing Stuart and Craig and Stephen and Johnny wasn't when he wasn't fit in the last campaign, but Corey was as big a miss as well, and sometimes people overlook that.
Just lastly from me, Stephen Davis has said that he wants to maybe have some conversations after this window about what his long-term plans are, his role. What has he brought in these last 2 windows in terms of into the coaching stuff?
I think it's not dissimilar to what he brought as a captain as well, in the same way that I think it's important as a coach that you have those relationships with your senior players like Johnny, and if there's things in the team that you feel you need to discuss, that you're capable of doing that. Stephen's obviously our most recent coach in terms of from a playing aspect, so it's nice to get that kind of feedback from him in terms of things that we're maybe looking to do in training, to feel that the players will respond to that, but also the ability just to have one-on-one conversations with, we've got, I think, as many as 10 of our squad here, possibly more, are under 21. So, the ability just to have Stephen around to speak to the lads, and he's obviously done stuff on the training pitch as well. He's young in terms of his coaching experience, but in terms of his playing experience, that's invaluable. So the transition for Stephen to take onto the training pitch that's not a big jump, I don't think, when you have his personality and his mentality for
it. Johnny, you touched on just the FA Cup win, obviously, so you're coming into this camp off an incredible high, but how do you reflect on the last 9 months that you've had?
I've loved it. It's been great, being back at my old club, and I think the season we had quite an inconsistent season, and obviously our league position doesn't reflect the club too well. But to be able, in the last game of the season in the FA Cup final, be able to turn on a performance like that, get the club back into European position, and win a trophy. It was great, and on a personal level, to be able to play as much as they did and have a biggest contribution, it was quite satisfying.
And I don't know whether he was joking or not, but whenever Corey was talking to us last week, he was saying that there were members of the family that were too young to remember you playing for United and didn't actually believe that you had done in the past. What does it mean, I suppose, to the family as a whole?
No, I think the whole family, we've always been big United fans, so it's nice in that way. And I suppose being able to go back and ticket requests have gone through the roof again. So it's been nice to be able to bring all the kids, nephews, nieces, everyone to be able to come along and experience that. And the little things like that, I've made it even sweeter.
And you talked about the desire to play and to keep playing there. Whenever Michael announced the squad, he had said that you were probably given the option of not coming on this trip, but that you turned that down straight away and always wanted to come. What do you put the maintaining of that desire down to over 18 years?
I think, I love playing football. And I think, I've had little spells, the season before last with injury problems, and, you miss it when you're not. And I've always, I think, always tried to have that in the back of my mind, play when you can, and I love playing matches. I think as you get older, the training becomes a little bit more difficult, but the games are what you live for, and the adrenaline you get from that, the competitiveness of matches, and coming off after the pitch, being able to analyse yourself, how you do. And I still feel like I'm improving as a player, and I think I'm still learning. And I suppose that's probably the biggest thing for me that keeps me going. Having that belief that I can still get better.
And whenever you're only training with them every couple of months, just given the gaps between international windows, how much improvement do you see in the young players that are coming into the squad from window to window?
I've seen a massive sort of, their performance levels, even in training, you can see it. And I think, maybe that comes from a little bit of confidence and a bit of belief in themselves that they actually belong at this level. And I think obviously the last 3 results have probably given them that. And we were probably in a similar position ourselves as a team, when I look back, before we did qualify for the Euros in 2016, you have to earn that confidence and that belief, and you get there by hard work, and you have to earn it along the way, and you get that by getting results in games and playing well. And
just for Michael, obviously we saw Dion Charles ruled out yesterday. That's obviously a blow, but how do you assess the other striking options in your squad?
Well, look, Dion, he's carried really the knee problem since March. He missed out in March, and he did get back before the end of the season, but he was playing with, that lingering in the background. So it was the right decision to not bring him here and put him through that. Jamie's come in, obviously Jamie Reid has come in and had a little bit from nowhere, I suppose, and at a stage of his career at 28, 29 years of age to, from Stevenage, League One level, to be playing international football and, to score 7 minutes into your first game. I think he's adapted to it really well. He gives us a little bit of physicality and power at that end of the pitch, but he's obviously got, an eye for goals, as he's shown for his club, and also in the international stage so far. We're young otherwise, if you look at Dale and Callum are young, and we've the experience of Josh as well, who always gives us something, whether he starts or whether he comes off the bench. But we've shaped the team in a way that, we're trying to get, opportunities to other players that we'll score from elsewhere, and that's where, if you look at the game against Scotland, where we played Connor slightly in a different position from his club, Isaac playing slightly different from where he's played for Standard Liège. So, we need to find ways to create goals and not just be dependent on, one striker for that, that in terms of being able to get us the goals to obviously give us a chance in games.
And just lastly for me, I suppose on that, we saw in the last window Conor Bradley playing wing back, then you played him slightly further forward. Maybe that plays into that idea of playing people in different positions, getting Conor further forward. Is that something that you see that we'll see more of going forward?
Well, I think the system we've played does give us a little bit of adaptability, and we're quite strong on the right-hand side in terms of the younger players. We've probably slightly more options on the right-hand side than we do on the left-hand side. So we probably need players to adapt a little bit to play on the left, but I think they're capable of doing that. So, yeah, what we're trying to put in our team is a freshness, and I think that the ability in the modern game to be able to run is key. We're going to play against, for example, two very dangerous and quick wide players in Spain, and we're going to have to deal with that, and it'll be a step up for some of our players, but it's a challenge, and that's what international football brings. You're now playing at a level against players who are at top clubs in Spain, some at top clubs in Europe as well, and that's obviously the challenge that the players have to meet.
Thank you. Michael, have you noticed a different mentality amongst the younger squad on the back of the 3 brilliant results you've had?
Well, I think that, as Johnny touched on, I think there's a growing confidence in the squad. It's important that, you know, we control that a little bit. You know, this is very, very early in a lot of these players' careers, never mind their international careers. They're playing international football without having huge amount of club experience. But I actually think that that's probably, you know, more commonplace now in terms of international football. We'll even see it with the Spanish team, with young players playing who are still at the infancy of their club careers as well. So yeah, I think there's a real togetherness in the squad. There's a good group. A lot of these lads have known each other since they're a young age, and those are friendships and bonds and relationships that help. You're not having to work too hard to get the players together. They do that themselves. They seem to enjoy each other's company. The 8 days training was very easy from a coaching point of view to manage. Very little moaning or groaning, which is always nice. And we're asking players really in their off season to be here, so that is a challenge. But yeah, I do think that, you know, we just have to continue to build on every time we get them together.
You love a training camp.
Yeah.
It's true though.
Yeah.
But off the field bonding is as important to you, and well, it has been in the past, as on the field work. So has that worked for you the last week, and how have you done all that?
Look, I think any team that has success it's very difficult if the relationships within any squad, club or country is difficult. You know, I think we talk a lot about culture in sport and you know, defining what actually culture is and high performance and everything. But generally having a good group of people who genuinely like spending time with each other, who enjoy each other's company, who work hard in terms of the training pitch, who will challenge each other. That's really what you're trying to get in any sporting organisation. So if you have it naturally, it helps, you know. Like, so the young players will challenge. They're competing against their friends and people they've known for a long time in terms of starting games, but it's not affecting their relationships. They're challenging each other. And I think that, you know, training camps are good for that. It gave us, you know, a lot of these players 12 months ago, I was only getting to know them. You know, they were playing, some had played in the under-19s, some had played in the 21s. So it was very important to have those types of training camps because it's a little bit more relaxed. You don't have the, you know, the focus of a game, which is maybe 2 or 3 days away. It gives you a little bit more time to spend time with the players, for the staff and everything. And I think that we just see the players feel more comfortable every time they come in.
Shape and discipline was always important to you when you played the big nations. Is that the key to Northern Ireland producing a big performance tomorrow night, do you think? Yeah,
it will be. You know, we have to be realistic, as I spoke earlier, in terms of what level of possession in the game we'll have. But it's about, you know, making it difficult for the opposition, frustrating the opposition, but obviously carrying a threat yourself as well. I think in the games that recently we did that very well at home against Denmark. Sometimes it's not easy to play at home like that because the supporters want you to maybe be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more on the front foot. But what you have to deny space to the opposition. You know, it's very, as a team, you have to manage the space that's on the pitch because you're playing against top quality players. And again, that'll be the challenge in the game tomorrow night.
Good stuff, thank you. Johnny, what have you made of the team the last 3 matches whenever it seems there's hope being built again with one of Michael's sides?
Well, like I think they were great performances, and you know, especially the most recent, the Scotland game, especially to beat Scotland. And I thought the way we did it, and even sort of looking back, we've looked back at it this week, and you can see the sort of the tactical discipline that you mentioned and the shape that we had. It was so good, denying space to the opposition and being really but being proactive at the same time, pushing up and trying to create a threat, and you come out of that game with the best chances. And I think sometimes, you know, we always want to play, you know, teams want to play from the back or high press, but you know, at the minute, I think where the team had been, you had to go back to basics a little bit and make ourselves difficult to beat in the first place, and hopefully from that, you know, we can build from there and really push things forward.
When I talk to the young players and I ask them about yourself, they all have total respect for you and talk about how much they learn from you. What do you see as your role in the Northern Ireland team now?
I don't see it as any different really than in the past. I've still got to perform, and I think that's something that's always been in the back of my mind. I think when you start looking at other things and trying to be someone that you're not, you can get distracted very easily. And I think for me, most important thing is obviously you want to set good standards, and I think as you get older, you learn that naturally. And obviously you watch other people. I'm sure lots of young lads are watching how I carry myself and the things I do. So you're probably slightly more aware of that, but I think the biggest thing, you got to perform on the pitch, and that's most important. And your attitude, it usually helps you with that.
Congratulations on the FA Cup. There was 2 moments that struck me, and they were both whenever you were about to lift the trophy. When Bruno was about to lift it, you were behind, and it was almost as if you were taken back to your youth in some way. The joy on your face, it was fantastic to see. And then there was another moment when you made sure that Eric Ten Hag got to lift the trophy, and you were very determined to do that. Can you just talk us through those 2 moments? Because I think it showed a lot about you, that.
I think we all turn into big kids anyway when you win something. I don't think you ever lose that. The excitement and being able to. That's what it's all about. That's what you're aiming for. Cup finals are the there's nothing better than that. Sudden death of it and everything. And I think obviously I passed the trophy down to the manager because I think they were trying to get us off down to go and celebrate on the pitch, and I passed it to the guy beside me. But I saw the manager further on. I didn't want him to miss out on that moment. I felt like it was a big moment for him, and I'm glad he got to lift it like that. But I thought we obviously passed the trophy back down. But like I said, they ushered us down onto the pitch. But I think for me, the manager last year was great for me. He brought me back in and showed a lot of faith in me. So it was nice, I suppose, that he was able to get to have that moment. Yeah,
it was a classy touch by you. So fair play for that. In terms of your own future, I know you've already answered this question to a degree, but Northern Ireland fans would love you to stay on. Manchester United fans want you to sign a new contract. You're talking to United, obviously, because they've released that. Where are you at with everything, Johnny? Are we going to see you play for United again next season, and hopefully for Northern Ireland going forward?
I don't know. It's still early days. The season's just finished, and I think the day after the cup final, I flew straight to Palma actually, and spent a week here. Then met up with the squad in Murcia, back to Palma. So it's been pretty on the go. And I think for me, I've just wanted to sort of concentrate on these 2 games and meeting up with the lads and getting back into it. And I think once I go back and everything sort of settles down a bit, I'm sure we'll have more conversations with the club.
Eric Ten Hag, you were very supportive of him after the cup final. You're standing by that stance, obviously. It's still uncertain about his future.
Yeah, of course. I think he's a top-class manager, and like I said before, I think the thing that sort of keeps me going, especially you feel like you're learning about the game, and I learned an awful lot last season, different styles of playing the game, and learned a lot of things from the manager Ten Hag. So that was quite an eye opener for me, and but like I said, that's the kind of stuff that keeps you going, and I feel like he's got some great ideas about the game of football.
Good man. Good luck tomorrow, Johnny, and
Cheers.
you, Mike.
Buenas tardes, Miguel Ángel Lara, Diario Marca de España. Una pregunta para cada uno. Al seleccionador ha dicho que España es distinta. ¿Por qué es distinta?
I think it's different because I obviously have seen the Spanish sides of the past where, a huge amount of Barcelona, Real Madrid players. I think there's a greater spread of players in this squad, which I think is nice to see. I think it probably demonstrates the strength of the Spanish game as well. And there's only, I think, three players from the Premier League in the squad, which maybe in the past there maybe would have been more than that. I just think that this squad is probably on a little bit of a journey that they've probably been able to be a little bit understated, which will allow them, I think, to go into the tournament maybe without the pressure that Spanish teams have had in the past. And I think that will help them when they come to Germany. But we don't underestimate them in any way. We've clearly seen the quality that they demonstrate in qualification in the Nations League. I just think that, you know, it's different from maybe the Spanish teams of Xavi, Iniesta, Ramos, who are household names in world football, and these players are still on that journey to become household names in world football.
Y para John es una pregunta sobre tu hermano. Hace poco Corey hablaba en The Athletic sobre salud mental. Decía que muchas veces no conocéis al compañero que tenéis al lado. Ahora compartes con él la habitación. Después de todo lo que ha pasado, ¿le conoces mejor?
My brother?
Yes.
No, I think we're still learning about each other, and having my brother by my side on the football pitch or in every experience, I've always thought is it's a real privilege, and we're so lucky to be able to do that together. And I know if I ever have a problem, I'm able to ring him up, and we speak quite regularly on the phone. He's able to ring me up. We talk about things, talk about tactics, life, everything in general. So, like I say, I've been very fortunate that I've had him by my side. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.